The evening had started like any other. The restaurant was buzzing with the usual dinner crowd, the clink of glasses, and the murmur of conversation filling the air. Michelle and I had just finished reviewing the menu for our upcoming event, and she seemed unusually distracted, her eyes darting to her phone every few seconds. I shrugged it off at the time, maybe she was just stressed. I decided to head to the office to grab some paperwork before the rush started. The office is a small, cozy room behind the kitchen, usually a quiet refuge from the clamor of the dining area. But that night, as I turned the corner and pushed open the door, I was greeted by an entirely different scene. There they were, Michelle and Edward, our head chef, entwined in a way that left no room for misunderstanding. My heart sank as I watched from the doorway, their heads close together, their whispers too intimate to ignore. It felt like the world had stopped spinning, and all I could focus on was the betrayal unfolding before me. I stood there frozen, my mind racing. The anger I felt was visceral, almost painful. How long had this been going on? How could she do this to me, to us? The trust we had built over the years, shattered in a single, dreadful moment. Michelle looked up first, her eyes widening in shock as she saw me standing there. Her face turned pale, and she immediately pulled away from Edward, stumbling over her words. Edward, caught in the act, had a look of guilt and panic that only made the situation worse. "Harry, it's not what it looks like," Michelle stammered, her voice trembling. She tried to compose herself, but the effort was in vain. The evidence was too damning, the situation too clear. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. The look on my face must have conveyed the rage and hurt I was feeling. I turned on my heel and walked out of the office, my mind already racing with thoughts of how I could make them pay for this betrayal. This wasn't just about a personal grievance anymore. It was about our business, our reputation, everything we had worked for. I could hear Michelle's frantic footsteps behind me as I headed to the back of the restaurant. She tried to explain, to apologize, but I was beyond listening. I was already formulating a plan, a way to exact revenge that would hit both Michelle and Edward where it would hurt the most. As I walked through the kitchen, past our busy staff and into the main dining area, I could see the stark contrast between the warm, welcoming ambiance and the storm brewing inside me. The restaurant that had once been a symbol of our success now felt like a cage, trapping me in a whirlwind of betrayal and anger. In the coming days, I would channel this fury into something more destructive. I would organize an event that would turn Michelle's betrayal into a public spectacle, a gastronomic evening where every dish would symbolize a piece of the truth. It would be my revenge, a way to show everyone the real Michelle and Edward, and to reclaim the dignity that had been so ruthlessly stolen from me. But for now, as the restaurant buzzed around me, I knew that my world had changed irreversibly. The person I thought I knew best had betrayed me in the most personal way imaginable. And the path to revenge had just begun. In the days following the disastrous revelation, the restaurant's once bustling atmosphere was now filled with a heavy silence. Michelle's attempts to salvage the situation only made things worse, as the staff and patrons alike were caught in the crossfire of our personal drama. I needed a plan, a way to not only exact my revenge but also to make sure Michelle and Edward faced the consequences of their actions. My first step was to channel my anger into something productive. I locked myself in my study, surrounded by sketches of the restaurant, old menus, and a half-empty bottle of bourbon. I needed a plan that would be both dramatic and effective. It had to be something that would capture public attention and hit Michelle where it hurt most, our reputation and our business. The idea came to me like a sudden flash of inspiration. A gastronomic evening, an exclusive event that would make a statement. Each course would subtly reveal a piece of the truth, a culinary representation of the betrayal that had poisoned our lives. It would be an unforgettable night, not just for its food, but for the scandalous revelations hidden within. I started working on the menu. Each dish had to be more than just food, it had to be a symbol, a narrative of betrayal. I consulted with our head chef, carefully choosing ingredients and crafting descriptions that would hint at the deeper meaning behind each course. For example, a dish of bitter greens would represent the sour taste of deceit, while a dessert of broken shards of sugar would symbolize shattered promises. Next, I began organizing the event. I needed to invite the right people, food critics, loyal patrons, and industry insiders who could spread the word far and wide. I wanted the night to be a spectacle, one that would ensure Michelle's infidelity was the topic of conversation for weeks to come. I meticulously prepared a guest list, focusing on influential figures who would amplify the scandal. With the guest list in hand, I moved on to the logistics. The restaurant would be transformed into an elegant, mysterious venue, with subtle hints of the theme incorporated into the decor. Dim lighting, dramatic music, and a carefully designed layout would set the stage for the evening's revelations. I wanted every detail to contribute to the atmosphere of intrigue and betrayal. As the day of the event approached, I could feel the tension building. Michelle was oblivious to my plans, or at least she pretended to be. She was busy trying to keep up appearances, managing the restaurant with a forced smile and strained composure. I saw through her facade but decided not to confront her until the night of the event. On the eve of the gastronomic evening, I took a moment to reflect on the situation. The revenge I was about to exact would not undo the hurt or mend the betrayal, but it would restore a measure of justice and public accountability. Michelle and Edward would be exposed for their deceit, and I would reclaim my dignity. The day of the event arrived, and the restaurant was abuzz with activity. The staff worked diligently, setting up tables, preparing the dishes, and ensuring everything was perfect. As the guests began to arrive, I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Tonight would be the culmination of my plan, a night that would redefine our lives and our business. I watched from the sidelines as the guests took their seats, their curiosity piqued by the enigmatic menu. The first course was served, and the subtle hints of betrayal began to unfold. The atmosphere was electric, filled with whispered speculations and intrigued glances. I knew that the climax of the evening was yet to come, but for now, I took a moment to savor the satisfaction of watching my plan come to life. The stage was set, and the true revelation was just around the corner. The restaurant was transformed for the evening. The soft glow of chandeliers cast long shadows, and the air was rich with the scent of fine wine and meticulously crafted dishes. The atmosphere was electric, a far cry from the usual casual dining experience. Guests mingled, their curiosity piqued by the mysterious theme of the night. As the first course was served, I watched from a discreet vantage point. The dish, a vibrant salad of bitter greens and tangy vinaigrette, was carefully placed before each guest. The bitterness of the greens was intended to mirror the sour reality of deceit. And I could see the guests' puzzled expressions as they tried to decipher the meaning behind their meal. Conversations buzzed around the room as people speculated about the significance of the dishes. I overheard whispers of intrigue and confusion, which only fueled my sense of satisfaction. The more people talked, the more the tension built. The second course, a rich and creamy soup with an unexpected hint of spice, was designed to represent the warmth and comfort that betrayal had corrupted. As guests tasted the soup, their faces reflected the same blend of surprise and contemplation. The soup's complex flavors were a metaphor for the complexity of the situation I was exposing. As the evening progressed, the dishes grew more elaborate. The third course, a perfectly seared steak with a side of wilted vegetables, was named Fading Trust. The steak was tender and juicy, but the vegetables were deliberately overcooked, symbolizing how trust had withered under the weight of betrayal. Throughout the meal, I kept a close eye on Michelle. She was attempting to maintain her composure, but I could see the cracks in her facade. Her forced smiles and strained attempts to make small talk only highlighted her discomfort. Edward, meanwhile, was trying to keep a low profile, but the tension was palpable. The climax of the evening approached as dessert was served. The final course was a dramatic confection of shattered sugar shards and broken meringue, served with a bitter chocolate sauce. It was named Broken Promises, a fitting end to the evening's culinary narrative. The guests gasped at the sight of the dessert, and I could see the realization dawning on their faces. I waited until the dessert plates had been cleared and the guests were settling into their post-meal conversations. The time had come for the grand reveal. I took the stage, my heart pounding in my chest. The room fell silent as I began to speak, the weight of my words hanging heavily in the air. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I began, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging inside me. Tonight, you've experienced a meal that represents much more than just food. Each dish has been a reflection of a deeper truth, one that I can no longer keep hidden. I paused for a moment, letting the anticipation build. I could see Michelle's eyes darting around the room, her face growing pale as she began to understand what was about to happen. I want to share with you all the real story behind tonight's event. I continued. Michelle and Edward, our head chef, have been involved in a long-standing affair. Each course you've tasted tonight has been a symbol of their betrayal. A betrayal that has deeply affected not only our personal lives but our business as well. I revealed photos and documents on a large screen behind me, showing the evidence of Michelle's affair with Edward. Gasps of shock and murmurs of disbelief rippled through the crowd. Michelle's attempts to interject were drowned out by the collective reaction of the guests. As the photos and documents flashed on the screen, I could see the full impact of my revelation sinking in. Michelle's face was a mask of humiliation, her once proud demeanor now completely shattered. Edward looked like a cornered animal, his face flushed and his eyes darting nervously. The guests, now fully aware of the scandal, began to leave. The atmosphere was charged with the raw energy of shock and betrayal. Michelle, once a celebrated figure in the culinary world, was now the center of a scandal that would follow her for years to come. I watched as the last of the guests exited the restaurant, their whispered conversations and shocked expressions a testament to the success of my plan. The evening had been everything I had hoped for, a dramatic and public exposure of Michelle's betrayal, a fitting end to a night designed to reveal the truth. As I looked around the empty restaurant, I felt a mix of satisfaction and melancholy. The revenge I had sought was complete, but the cost had been high. The future of the restaurant, once so bright, was now uncertain. I had achieved my goal, but the road ahead would be challenging. The days following the gastronomic evening were a whirlwind of chaos and fallout. The restaurant, once a symbol of our success, now stood as the epicenter of scandal. The media coverage was relentless, with headlines splashed across every major news outlet: restaurateur's bitter revenge, and culinary betrayal unveiled. The story of Michelle's affair with Edward had captured the public's imagination. And the once loyal patrons were now among the most vocal critics. The initial shock was palpable. The restaurant's phone lines were jammed with calls from reporters seeking comments and patrons canceling reservations. Social media exploded with discussions, memes, and outrage. The scandal was everywhere, and our reputation was in tatters. Michelle and I had been living in separate quarters since the night of the event. I had taken refuge in a small apartment across town, trying to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the restaurant and the constant barrage of questions from the media. Michelle, meanwhile, had retreated to a nearby hotel, her attempts to manage the fallout proving futile. The day after the event, I met with our business partners and staff to discuss the immediate steps we needed to take. The restaurant's future was uncertain, and we needed a plan to salvage what remained of our business. The staff, who had been caught in the crossfire, were visibly shaken. Some were angry, some were sympathetic, but all were concerned about the future. "Harry, we need to address this situation head-on," said John, one of our senior managers. "The longer we stay silent, the worse it will get. We need to make a statement, assure our patrons that we're taking steps to move forward." I agreed. We scheduled a press conference to address the situation and explain our plans for rebuilding. The conference was held in the restaurant's empty dining room, the once bustling space now eerily quiet. The media swarmed in, cameras flashing and microphones thrust forward as I took the stage. "I want to thank everyone for coming," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "I know there has been a lot of speculation and misinformation. Tonight, I want to address the situation directly and outline our plans for moving forward." I explained that Michelle and Edward had been dismissed from their positions and that we were committed to restoring the restaurant's reputation. We were implementing new policies to ensure transparency and integrity in our operations. I also announced that a portion of the restaurant's profits over the next month would be donated to a charity supporting victims of betrayal and deceit. The press conference did little to quell the public outrage, but it was a start. Over the next few weeks, I focused on rebuilding the restaurant's image. We revamped the menu, hosted charity events, and worked hard to regain the trust of our patrons. The road to recovery was long and arduous, but I was determined to see it through. Michelle, meanwhile, faced the brunt of the fallout. Her reputation as a chef and restaurateur was in tatters. Offers of work dried up, and the once prominent figure in the culinary world became the subject of scorn and ridicule. Her social media accounts were filled with harsh comments and threats, and she struggled to find any sense of normalcy. I continued to keep a distance from Michelle, focusing instead on the restaurant and my own healing. The emotional toll of the betrayal was immense, but I was finding ways to cope. I spent time with friends and family, sought professional help, and began to slowly rebuild my own sense of self-worth. As the weeks turned into months, the initial shock of the scandal began to fade, replaced by a sense of cautious optimism. The restaurant's reputation slowly started to recover, and business began to pick up again. The staff, though still affected by the events, rallied around the restaurant, and we worked together to restore its former glory. Michelle, on the other hand, remained a shadow of her former self. She eventually faded from the public eye, her career in ruins. I couldn't say I felt sympathy for her. After all, she had made her choices. But I hoped she would find a way to move on and rebuild her life. As I was trying to do, the experience had changed me profoundly. I had faced betrayal in its most raw form and had fought to reclaim my dignity and my business. The road had been difficult, but I had emerged stronger and more determined. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope. As I looked around the restaurant, now bustling with activity and filled with the laughter and chatter of satisfied patrons, I felt a sense of accomplishment. The scars of the past were still there, but they were becoming part of the story I was building. The restaurant, my business, and my life were slowly coming back to life, and with that, I found a renewed sense of purpose and resilience. The aftermath of the scandal had left its mark on everything, on the restaurant, on the staff, and on me. But as the weeks passed, I began to see a glimmer of hope in the form of gradual recovery. The restaurant's reputation was slowly being repaired, and the community's support was a testament to the resilience we had fought so hard to rebuild. One crisp morning, I arrived at the restaurant early, before the usual breakfast crowd. The quiet of the empty dining room was a stark contrast to the chaos of the past weeks. I walked through the space, inspecting the renovations and preparations for the day ahead. The new menu items were well received, and the feedback from our patrons had been encouraging. The charity events and community outreach had helped to mend some of the damage. And the restaurant was starting to regain its footing. I was interrupted by a knock on the office door. It was Sarah, our new head chef. She had been with us for a few weeks, stepping in to fill the void left by Edward's departure. Her calm demeanor and impressive culinary skills had been a breath of fresh air, and she was already making a positive impact on the team. "Morning, Harry," Sarah said with a warm smile. "I just wanted to let you know that we've got a full house tonight. Looks like the word is getting out that we're back on track." "That's great news," I replied, returning her smile. "I'm glad to see things turning around. How are you finding everything so far?" "Busy, but rewarding," Sarah said. "The team's been working hard, and the new menu has been a hit. It's been a challenging transition, but I think we're headed in the right direction." I appreciated her optimism and dedication. Having someone like Sarah on board was exactly what we needed to move forward. Her presence was a reminder that while the past couldn't be changed, the future was still full of possibilities. As the day went on, I focused on the tasks at hand, preparing for the evening service, checking on inventory, and meeting with suppliers. Each small step was a part of the larger effort to restore the restaurant to its former glory. I took a moment to review the latest financial reports and was pleased to see signs of improvement. The recovery was slow but steady, and I was determined to keep pushing forward. In the evening, the restaurant was bustling with activity. The staff worked seamlessly, and the atmosphere was filled with the pleasant hum of conversation and clinking glasses. I moved through the dining room, greeting guests and ensuring everything was running smoothly. It was a welcome change from the tense and strained atmosphere of the previous months. As the night progressed, I found a moment to sit down with Sarah in the kitchen. She was prepping ingredients for the next day's menu, her focus evident in every motion. "Sarah, I wanted to thank you for everything you've done," I said. "It hasn't been easy, but you've been a crucial part of our recovery." Sarah looked up, wiping her hands on a towel. "It's been a pleasure working here. I know the past few months have been tough, but the staff and I are committed to making this place great again. I believe in what we're doing." Her words were a boost to my morale. It was clear that we had a solid team in place, and with their support, the restaurant had a real chance to rebound. I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in how far we had come. As I headed home that night, I reflected on the journey we had undertaken. The scandal had tested me in ways I could never have anticipated, but it had also taught me valuable lessons about resilience and determination. The road to recovery was far from over, but I felt confident that we were on the right path. The future was still uncertain, but I had come to terms with the fact that some things were beyond my control. What mattered now was focusing on what lay ahead, on rebuilding and moving forward with a renewed sense of purpose. The restaurant, my team, and I were all forging a new path, one that would ultimately define the next chapter of our lives. And as I looked toward that future, I felt a quiet sense of hope. The challenges we had faced had made us stronger, and with each passing day, we were reclaiming our place in the community and in the culinary world. The scars of the past would always be there, but they were becoming part of the story we were building, one of recovery, resilience, and renewal. As the months rolled by, the restaurant began to settle into a new rhythm. The storm of the scandal had passed, leaving behind a more manageable but still noticeable ripple of its effects. With each day, the establishment was gradually regaining its reputation, and the renewed energy among the staff was palpable. One bright morning, I received an unexpected phone call from an old friend, Lucas Harris. Lucas was a well-known food critic and a respected figure in the culinary world. He had been absent from the scene for a while, focusing on personal projects, and his return was seen as a significant event in the industry. His call was a glimmer of hope, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Hey, Harry," Lucas said warmly. "I've heard about the challenges you've been facing and the steps you've taken to turn things around. I'd love to come by and see for myself. How about an exclusive dinner for two at the restaurant next week?" The offer was a golden opportunity. A positive review from Lucas could be just the boost we needed to solidify our recovery. I accepted with gratitude and immediately began preparations. The restaurant had to be perfect, and I wanted to make sure that every detail was in place to impress both Lucas and our regular patrons. The week leading up to the dinner was a whirlwind of activity. We reviewed and refined the menu, paying extra attention to every dish's presentation and flavor profile. The team worked tirelessly, setting up a special dining area for the evening and ensuring that everything was flawless. The night of the dinner arrived, and the restaurant was abuzz with anticipation. I greeted Lucas personally, showing him to the specially prepared table. We shared some small talk as he settled in, and I could sense the genuine interest in his eyes. It was clear that he was here to see what all the fuss was about. As the evening progressed, Lucas sampled each course with the attention to detail that only a seasoned critic could muster. I watched from a distance, hoping that the effort we had put into revamping the menu and the overall experience would be evident in his reactions. The meal concluded, and Lucas asked for a moment to speak privately. My heart raced as I approached his table, unsure of what to expect. "Harry," Lucas began, "I have to say, I'm impressed. The menu is exceptional, and the attention to detail is evident in every dish. It's clear that a lot of hard work and dedication has gone into this place, and it shows." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Lucas's praise was a significant validation of our efforts and a much-needed boost to our morale. "I appreciate that, Lucas," I said sincerely. "It's been a tough journey, but we're committed to making things right and providing an outstanding dining experience." Lucas nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I can see that. I'll be writing a review, and I think it will reflect the positive changes you've made. Keep up the good work." His words were a beacon of hope, and I knew that this positive review could be the turning point we needed. As Lucas departed, I couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of optimism. The road to recovery was long, but we were making strides. The following week, Lucas's review was published. It was glowing, praising the restaurant's comeback and highlighting the exceptional quality of the food and service. The review generated buzz and attracted new customers eager to see what had changed. Business began to pick up significantly. Reservations were in high demand, and the restaurant's renewed reputation attracted attention from local food bloggers and influencers. The positive momentum was a welcome change, and it felt like we were finally moving past the shadow of the scandal. Amidst the hustle and bustle of the restaurant, I took a moment to reflect on the journey we had undertaken. The road to recovery had been arduous, filled with challenges and setbacks. But it had also been a time of growth and renewal. The support of the team, the dedication to improving our service, and the positive reinforcement from people like Lucas had made a difference. Michelle, meanwhile, remained out of the public eye. The fallout from the scandal had effectively ended her career in the culinary world. I couldn't say I felt pity for her. She had made choices that had led to this outcome. But I hoped she would eventually find a way to move on and rebuild her life, as I was trying to do. As I looked around the restaurant, filled with satisfied guests and a team working harmoniously, I felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The scars of the past were still there, but they were becoming part of the story we were building, a story of resilience, recovery, and hope. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it with renewed determination. The restaurant was on its way back, and with each passing day, we were carving out a new beginning, one dish, one guest, and one success at a time. The positive review from Lucas Harris had done wonders for the restaurant. The buzz generated by the article led to a surge in reservations and a renewed interest from the local food scene. It was a welcome change from the dark cloud of scandal that had hung over us for so long. With business picking up, I focused on maintaining the momentum. I worked closely with Sarah and the rest of the team, ensuring that every aspect of the restaurant was operating smoothly. The kitchen was running like a well-oiled machine, and the front-of-house staff was delivering exceptional service. It was clear that the dedication and hard work of everyone involved were paying off. Despite the progress, there was one lingering issue that needed to be addressed: the restoration of trust with our patrons and the community. I realized that while the positive review was a great boost, it was only one piece of the puzzle. We needed to show our commitment to transparency and integrity in everything we did. To that end, I decided to host a series of open house events and cooking classes, inviting guests to experience the restaurant behind the scenes. The idea was to engage with the community, rebuild relationships, and demonstrate our dedication to providing an outstanding dining experience. The first open house event was a success. Guests were treated to a tour of the kitchen, where Sarah and the team showcased their culinary skills and shared the stories behind our new menu. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and it was clear that people appreciated the opportunity to see the inner workings of the restaurant. The cooking classes were another hit. We offered a range of classes, from basic cooking techniques to advanced culinary skills. The classes were well attended, and the interaction with our guests was a positive way to rebuild trust and foster a sense of community. One evening, as I was wrapping up after a particularly successful cooking class, I received a call from an old business contact, Rebecca Collins. Rebecca was a well-known event planner who had worked with us in the past. She wanted to discuss a potential collaboration to further boost the restaurant's profile. Rebecca and I met at a nearby cafe, where she outlined her proposal. She suggested organizing a series of themed dining events, each highlighting a different aspect of our culinary expertise and showcasing local ingredients. The idea was to create a unique dining experience that would attract attention and draw in new customers. I was intrigued by the proposal and agreed to work with Rebecca. Over the next few weeks, we planned and executed several successful themed events, each one drawing a full house and receiving rave reviews. The events not only boosted our visibility but also helped to solidify our reputation as a premier dining destination. As the restaurant continued to recover and grow, I found myself reflecting on the journey we had been through. The challenges we had faced had tested our resilience, but they had also strengthened our commitment to excellence. The support of the team, the positive feedback from patrons, and the successful events had all played a crucial role in our recovery. One day, as I was sitting in the office reviewing the latest financial reports, I noticed a message from Michelle. It was a brief note, apologizing for the pain and disruption she had caused and wishing me and the restaurant well. The message was a reminder of the past, but it also signaled a step toward closure. I appreciated the sentiment, though I had long since moved on from the hurt and betrayal. The focus now was on the future. The restaurant was thriving, and the sense of accomplishment was tangible. The hard work and dedication of the team had paid off, and we were well on our way to rebuilding the trust and reputation that had been lost. As I walked through the restaurant, watching guests enjoy their meals and hearing the laughter of satisfied patrons, I felt a deep sense of pride. The road to recovery had been long and arduous, but it had led us to a place of renewed hope and opportunity. The future was bright, and I was excited to see where it would take us. With a solid foundation and a commitment to excellence, the restaurant was not just surviving but thriving. The scars of the past were part of our story, but they were also a testament to our strength and resilience. And as I looked ahead, I knew that whatever challenges came our way, we were ready to face them. The restaurant had become a symbol of recovery and renewal, and with each passing day, we were writing a new chapter, one filled with promise and possibility. As the restaurant continued to flourish, life seemed to be returning to normal. The recovery from the scandal was well underway, and the positive buzz around our themed events and open house sessions had brought a new sense of vitality to the business. We were becoming known not just for overcoming adversity but for our exceptional food and service. But then, just when things seemed to be settling into a comfortable routine, an unexpected twist emerged. It was a rainy Thursday evening when I received an urgent call from Sarah. Her voice was tinged with anxiety as she told me that a group of investigative journalists had arrived at the restaurant, demanding to speak with me. The reporters were from a prominent news outlet, and their inquiries seemed to center around some new allegations about the restaurant's management. My heart sank as I prepared for what I knew would be a difficult situation. I immediately went to the restaurant to meet with the journalists and address their concerns. When I arrived, I found a small but persistent group of reporters waiting at the entrance, their cameras flashing as I approached. "Mr. Thompson," one of the reporters said, thrusting a microphone towards me, "we've received information that there are new allegations about unethical practices at your restaurant. Can you comment on this?" I took a deep breath and tried to remain calm. "I'm not aware of any new allegations," I said firmly. "We've always been committed to maintaining the highest standards of integrity and transparency. If there's any specific information they're referring to, I'd like to address it directly." The reporters persisted, citing anonymous sources and unverified claims. It was clear that their goal was to stir up controversy and create headlines, but I was determined to handle the situation with professionalism and integrity. "I can assure you that we take any allegations seriously and are committed to addressing them transparently," I continued. "If there are specific concerns, we will investigate them thoroughly and take appropriate action." Despite my efforts to provide clear and honest answers, the reporters seemed intent on creating a dramatic story. They continued to press for details and speculated on the worst possible scenarios. After a tense exchange, I managed to defuse the situation by directing them to our official statement, which reiterated our commitment to ethical practices and transparency. I also promised to cooperate fully with any investigations and to address any legitimate concerns that arose. The media frenzy surrounding the new allegations was relentless. News outlets reported on the situation with sensational headlines, and social media buzzed with speculation and rumors. The renewed scrutiny was a stark reminder of how fragile reputation could be, even after a hard-fought recovery. In the days that followed, I worked closely with our legal team to address the allegations and conduct an internal review. We needed to ensure that we were upholding our standards and to clear up any misunderstandings that had arisen. Sarah and the rest of the team were supportive and understanding throughout the ordeal. They continued to work diligently, and their commitment helped to maintain the restaurant's operations during this challenging time. The internal review revealed that the allegations were based on misunderstandings and unsubstantiated claims. We issued a detailed report clarifying the situation and demonstrating our commitment to ethical practices. The report was shared with the media, and we worked hard to rebuild trust with our patrons and the community. Gradually, the media attention began to wane as news stories emerged, and the public's focus shifted. The restaurant continued to thrive, and we used the experience as an opportunity to strengthen our practices and reinforce our commitment to transparency. Reflecting on the experience, I realized that the twists and turns of life were unpredictable and often challenging. But each obstacle was also an opportunity to demonstrate resilience and adaptability. The restaurant's journey was far from over, and I knew that we would continue to face new challenges and opportunities. As I walked through the restaurant one evening, watching guests enjoy their meals and witnessing the positive energy among the staff, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The unexpected twist had tested our resolve, but it had also reinforced our dedication to excellence. The future was still unfolding, and while uncertainties remained, I was confident that we were well equipped to handle whatever came our way. The restaurant had become a symbol of perseverance and renewal, and with each passing day, we were writing a new chapter, one filled with hope, determination, and the promise of new beginnings. After weathering the storm of media scrutiny and reaffirming our commitment to transparency and integrity, it was time to take the next big step in our recovery. The restaurant had regained much of its previous charm and reputation, but we needed something more, a grand gesture that would solidify our comeback and mark the start of a new era. That's when the idea for the grand relaunch event came into focus. I wanted to make a statement that we were not just recovering but thriving, ready to embrace a fresh chapter with renewed energy and optimism. The planning for the event was both exhilarating and exhausting. I worked closely with Rebecca Collins, who had already proven invaluable with her event planning expertise. Together, we crafted an ambitious plan that included a high-profile guest list, a revamped menu featuring some of our most innovative dishes, and a series of interactive experiences that would showcase our commitment to excellence. We set the date for the grand relaunch on a Saturday evening, aiming to attract a diverse crowd that included food critics, local influencers, community leaders, and loyal patrons. The restaurant was to be transformed for the occasion, with elegant decorations, live music, and a special tasting menu that highlighted our culinary creativity. In the weeks leading up to the event, the entire team was fully immersed in preparations. The kitchen staff worked tirelessly to perfect the new dishes, while the front-of-house team rehearsed their roles to ensure impeccable service. The atmosphere was one of focused excitement, with everyone contributing their best to make the relaunch a success. The day of the grand relaunch arrived, and the restaurant buzzed with activity. The transformation was stunning. Elegant table settings, ambient lighting, and beautiful floral arrangements set the stage for a memorable evening. The anticipation was palpable as the final touches were put in place. As the first guests began to arrive, I took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought us to this point. The trials and tribulations had tested our resolve, but they had also strengthened our commitment to our craft. Now, it was time to celebrate our achievements and look forward to the future with renewed hope. The evening unfolded smoothly, with guests enjoying the new menu and the interactive experiences we had planned. The live music added to the festive atmosphere, and the positive energy was evident throughout the restaurant. During the event, I had the opportunity to speak with several guests and industry insiders. Their feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and many expressed their admiration for the restaurant's resilience and creativity. It was clear that the grand relaunch had made a significant impact and reinforced our position as a leading dining destination. As the night progressed, I took a moment to address the guests with a brief speech. I thanked them for their support and shared a few words about the journey we had been on. "We've faced many challenges along the way," I said, "but through it all, we've remained dedicated to providing the best possible experience for our guests. Tonight is a celebration of our hard work, our commitment to excellence, and the bright future we're building together. Thank you for being a part of this special evening." The applause and cheers from the crowd were a gratifying reminder of how far we had come. The grand relaunch had been a success, and it felt like a fitting conclusion to a challenging chapter in the restaurant's history. As the event came to a close, I took a moment to reflect on the night's accomplishments. The restaurant was back in the spotlight, and the positive feedback from guests and critics alike was a testament to our hard work and dedication. In the days following the relaunch, the restaurant continued to thrive. The event had reinvigorated our reputation, and business was stronger than ever. The positive momentum carried us forward, and the sense of accomplishment was palpable. Looking ahead, I knew that there would still be challenges to face and opportunities to seize. But with the support of a dedicated team and a renewed sense of purpose, I was confident that we were well prepared for whatever the future held. The grand relaunch had not only marked a new beginning for the restaurant but had also been a powerful reminder of our resilience and determination. As I looked around at the bustling dining room and the satisfied faces of our guests, I felt a deep sense of pride and optimism. The restaurant was not just surviving, it was thriving, and we were ready to embrace the future with confidence and excitement. The journey had been long and arduous, but it had led us to a place of renewed hope and opportunity. And with each passing day, we were writing a new chapter, one filled with promise, possibility, and the joy of success. With the grand relaunch successfully behind us, the restaurant was flourishing. Business was booming, and the positive reviews and buzz from the event had solidified our position as a premier dining destination. We had finally turned the corner, and the future looked bright. But just as things seemed to be settling into a routine, an unexpected visitor arrived, bringing with her a whirlwind of emotions and unresolved issues. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when the doorbell to my office rang. I was deep in thought, reviewing the latest financial reports, when Sarah, my assistant, opened the door and announced that someone was here to see me. Her tone was serious, and I could tell that this was no ordinary visitor. When the door opened, I was taken aback to see Michelle standing there. She was dressed impeccably, her demeanor composed but her eyes betraying a hint of nervousness. The sight of her brought back a rush of memories and emotions, some painful, others mixed with a sense of closure. "Michelle," I said, trying to mask my surprise. "What are you doing here?" She took a deep breath before speaking. "Harry, I know this is unexpected, but I wanted to come and talk to you in person. There's something I need to say. And I didn't want it to be over the phone or through a message." I gestured for her to sit down, feeling a knot of apprehension in my stomach. We hadn't spoken since the fallout from the scandal, and the emotions I had pushed aside were suddenly resurfacing. "What's on your mind?" I asked, trying to remain composed. Michelle took a moment to collect her thoughts before beginning. "I've been reflecting a lot on everything that happened. I know I made mistakes that hurt you deeply, and I've come to understand the impact of my actions. I'm truly sorry for the pain I caused." Her words were sincere, but they were not easy to hear. The hurt and betrayal still lingered, and it was difficult to fully accept her apology. Yet, I could see that she was genuinely remorseful, and that made me consider the possibility of finding some measure of closure. "I appreciate your apology, Michelle," I said cautiously. "It means something that you're here, trying to make amends. But the consequences of what happened were severe, and it's not something that can be easily forgotten or forgiven." Michelle nodded, her expression reflecting a mix of regret and understanding. "I realize that, Harry. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness or to make excuses. I just wanted to acknowledge my mistakes and to let you know that I'm working on making things right in my own life." We talked for a while longer, discussing the past and the impact it had on both of us. Michelle spoke about the changes she was trying to make and her efforts to move forward. It was clear that she was trying to rebuild her life, though the path was far from easy. As our conversation came to an end, Michelle stood up to leave. There was a sense of finality in the air, and I knew that this meeting was a significant step for both of us. "Thank you for listening," she said quietly. "I hope that one day we can both find peace and move forward from this." I nodded, acknowledging her words. "I wish you the best in your journey, Michelle. I hope you find what you're looking for." After she left, I sat in my office, reflecting on the encounter. It had been a difficult but necessary conversation, one that brought closure to a chapter of my life that had been marked by pain and betrayal. While the wounds were still healing, there was a sense of relief in having addressed the past directly. The restaurant continued to thrive, and the positive energy from the grand relaunch carried us forward. The encounter with Michelle had been a reminder of the complexities of human relationships and the importance of facing our pasts with honesty and courage. As I looked around the bustling restaurant, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey had been challenging, but it had also been transformative. The restaurant was not just a place of business, it was a testament to resilience and growth. With the past behind us and a bright future ahead, I was ready to embrace the next chapter with optimism and determination. The road had been long, but it had led us to a place of renewed hope and possibility. And as I watched the guests enjoying their meals and the team working with enthusiasm, I knew that we were on the right path. The restaurant had become a symbol of recovery and renewal, and the journey had only just begun. With the past addressed and the restaurant firmly back on track, I felt a sense of accomplishment and relief. The grand relaunch had successfully reinvigorated our reputation, and business was thriving. It was time to turn our attention to the future and explore new opportunities for growth and innovation. One of the first things I decided to focus on was expanding our culinary offerings. The success of the themed events had shown that our patrons were eager for unique and exciting dining experiences. I wanted to capitalize on this by introducing new concepts that would keep the restaurant at the forefront of the local dining scene. I scheduled a series of brainstorming sessions with Sarah and the kitchen team. We explored a range of ideas, from seasonal tasting menus to collaborative events with renowned guest chefs. The goal was to create experiences that would not only attract new customers but also keep our loyal patrons coming back for more. One idea that particularly excited me was the concept of a chef's table experience. This would offer guests a unique opportunity to dine in an exclusive, intimate setting where they could interact directly with the chef and enjoy a bespoke menu designed just for them. It was a way to provide a truly personalized dining experience that would set us apart from the competition. As we began to implement these new ideas, I also focused on strengthening our community ties. The restaurant had always been a community hub, and I wanted to reinforce that connection by engaging in local events and supporting charitable causes. We partnered with several local organizations to host fundraising dinners and culinary workshops, further embedding ourselves in the fabric of the community. The first Chef's Table event was a resounding success. Guests were thrilled by the opportunity to interact with the chef, and the personalized menu was met with rave reviews. The experience quickly gained popularity, and we began to book out the Chef's Table weeks in advance. It was gratifying to see our efforts paying off and to witness the positive response from our guests. In addition to the new dining experiences, we also decided to update the restaurant's interior. We wanted to refresh the ambiance and create a space that felt both modern and welcoming. The renovations were carefully planned to enhance the dining environment while preserving the charm and character that our patrons had come to love. The renovation process was extensive but exciting. We worked with a talented interior designer to reimagine the space, incorporating new elements that complemented our culinary vision. The updated interior was unveiled in a special event that drew significant attention and praise from the local media and our patrons. As the restaurant continued to thrive, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement. The journey we had been on had taught us valuable lessons about resilience, innovation, and community. We had faced challenges head-on and emerged stronger, and now we were poised to embrace new opportunities with enthusiasm and confidence. One evening, as I walked through the restaurant and observed the bustling activity, I felt a deep sense of pride. The positive energy and vibrancy of the space were a testament to the hard work and dedication of the entire team. It was clear that we had successfully turned a difficult chapter into a new beginning filled with promise and potential. The restaurant had become more than just a place to eat, it was a destination where people came to experience something special and memorable. And as we looked to the future, I knew that we were well prepared to continue building on our success and to explore new horizons. With each passing day, we were writing a new chapter in the restaurant's story, one filled with innovation, community, and the joy of bringing people together through exceptional food and experiences. The future was bright, and I was excited to see where our journey would take us next. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to excellence, we continued to forge ahead, embracing the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. The restaurant was not just surviving, it was thriving, and the possibilities for the future were as boundless as our ambition. Months had passed since the grand relaunch, and the restaurant was thriving more than ever. The new concepts were a hit, the community support was strong, and our team was more motivated than I had ever seen. It seemed like things were finally falling into place. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get more stable, I received an unexpected phone call that shook my world once again. It was from Lucas Wright, an old friend and a well-known food critic. Lucas and I hadn't been in touch for years, and his sudden reappearance was a surprise. "Harry, it's Lucas," his voice crackled over the line. "I hope you're doing well. I've been following the news about your restaurant, and I'd like to catch up. Could we meet?" I was intrigued and a bit apprehensive. The last time Lucas and I had spoken, we were still trying to make our mark in the culinary world. A lot had changed since then, and I wasn't sure what to expect from this unexpected reunion. We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe a few days later. When I arrived, Lucas was already there, waiting with a warm smile. He looked older but still very much the same person I remembered, passionate about food and full of energy. "Harry, it's great to see you," Lucas said as we exchanged hugs. "It's been too long." "It really has," I agreed. "I'm glad you reached out. What's going on?" We settled into our seats, and Lucas wasted no time getting to the point. "I've been following the story of your restaurant, and I'm impressed by what you've accomplished. I know things were tough for a while, but you've managed to turn it around. I'd like to write a feature on your journey, how you rebuilt after the scandal and what's next for you." The offer was both flattering and daunting. A feature in one of the most prominent food magazines could be a huge boost for the restaurant, but it also meant revisiting some painful chapters of the past. I had to think carefully about whether I wanted to open up about everything. "I appreciate the offer, Lucas," I said thoughtfully. "It's been a challenging journey, but I'm proud of how far we've come. I'd be open to discussing it, but I'd like to think about it a bit more before committing." Lucas nodded in understanding. Of course. Take your time. I think your story could be really inspiring for a lot of people. We spent the rest of the afternoon catching up and reminiscing about old times. It was a refreshing change of pace, and it felt good to reconnect with someone who had been an important part of my early career. As the days passed, I weighed the pros and cons of participating in the feature. On one hand, it could provide valuable exposure and highlight the restaurant's recovery. On the other hand, it would require revisiting a difficult period in my life. After much consideration, I decided to go ahead with the feature. I felt that sharing our story could be a powerful way to demonstrate resilience and offer hope to others facing challenges. I also wanted to use the opportunity to highlight the hard work and dedication of the entire team. Lucas and his team visited the restaurant to conduct interviews and take photographs. They spoke with me, Sarah, and several members of the staff, capturing the essence of what made the restaurant special. The process was intense but also cathartic. It allowed me to reflect on the journey and appreciate how far we had come. As the publication date approached, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The feature was sure to bring renewed attention to the restaurant, and I hoped it would be well received. It was also a chance to share our story with a wider audience and celebrate the achievements of the team. When the feature was finally published, it received an overwhelmingly positive response. The article praised the restaurant's resilience, innovation, and commitment to excellence. It highlighted the personal and professional growth that had taken place and offered a glimpse into the hard work that had gone into rebuilding. The feature generated a surge of interest in new patrons, further solidifying the restaurant's reputation. It was a validation of our efforts and a testament to the power of perseverance. Reflecting on the experience, I realized that the unexpected reunion with Lucas had been a pivotal moment in our journey. It had provided an opportunity to share our story and celebrate our success in a meaningful way. The restaurant continued to thrive, and I was grateful for the chance to connect with an old friend and share our achievements with the world. It was a reminder that the journey was far from over and that there were always new opportunities to embrace and explore. As I looked around the bustling restaurant, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and optimism. The future was bright, and with each new chapter, we were writing a story of success, resilience, and the joy of pursuing our passions. Life had settled into a rhythm of success and stability after the feature article, but the restaurant industry is always full of surprises. Just when everything seemed to be running smoothly, an unexpected challenge arose that would test our resilience once again. It started with a phone call from Sarah one morning. Her voice was unusually tense as she told me about a series of negative reviews that had begun to surface online. These reviews were not just critical, they were harsh and accusatory, suggesting that we had compromised on quality and service. "This doesn't make any sense," I said, trying to stay calm. "We've been doing everything right. Are there any specifics in the reviews?" Sarah explained that the reviews detailed issues with food quality, service, and even cleanliness. They were written by anonymous users, which made it difficult to address the concerns directly. The timing was also suspicious, coming right after the publication of the feature article. I decided to investigate further. I scheduled a meeting with the team to review the complaints and to conduct a thorough check of the restaurant's operations. The last thing I wanted was to overlook any potential issues. During the meeting, the team reassured me that everything was up to standard. The kitchen was running smoothly, the staff was performing well, and the cleanliness of the restaurant was regularly inspected. We were all puzzled by the sudden influx of negative feedback. To get to the bottom of the issue, I enlisted the help of a trusted friend, Lucas Wright, who had experience in crisis management. Lucas agreed to assist us in analyzing the situation and determining the best course of action. We started by tracking the source of the reviews. Through some investigative work, we discovered that many of the negative comments originated from a single IP address, which was linked to a local competitor. It appeared that someone was deliberately trying to tarnish our reputation. Armed with this information, Lucas and I crafted a strategy to address the situation. We decided to publicly acknowledge the reviews and offer a transparent response. We would address any legitimate concerns and reaffirm our commitment to quality and service. In a carefully crafted statement, we addressed the issues raised in the reviews and highlighted the steps we were taking to ensure that all concerns were being thoroughly investigated. We also invited patrons to share their feedback directly with us, emphasizing our dedication to continuous improvement. The response was met with a mix of reactions. Some patrons appreciated our transparency and willingness to address the concerns, while others remained skeptical. The negative reviews continued to appear, but we noticed that their impact lessened as more positive feedback came in. To counter the negative publicity, we launched a new promotional campaign that focused on celebrating the restaurant's successes and engaging with our loyal customers. We offered special events and exclusive promotions to attract new guests and show our appreciation for the support of our regulars. As the weeks went by, the intensity of the negative reviews began to wane. The restaurant's reputation slowly recovered, and the positive feedback from our loyal patrons helped restore our standing in the community. Despite the challenges, the experience reinforced the importance of vigilance and adaptability. It was a reminder that the restaurant industry is dynamic and that success requires ongoing effort and resilience. Reflecting on the experience, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The unexpected challenge had tested our resolve, but it had also shown us the strength of our team and the support of our community. As I looked around the bustling restaurant and observed the satisfied faces of our guests, I knew that we had overcome a significant obstacle. The restaurant was not only surviving but thriving, and we were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with confidence and optimism. The journey had been filled with ups and downs, but each challenge had contributed to our growth and success. With each passing day, we continued to write a new chapter in the restaurant's story, one marked by resilience, innovation, and the joy of pursuing our passions. The future was bright, and with the support of our dedicated team and loyal patrons, I was confident that we were well prepared to embrace new opportunities and continue our journey of success. As the restaurant continued to thrive amidst the challenges, I felt a sense of calm knowing that we had weathered the storm and emerged stronger. But just when it seemed like everything was falling into place, another twist was about to shake things up. It began with a series of anonymous messages that started arriving at the restaurant's email. They were cryptic and vague, hinting at a revelation that would shake the very foundation of everything we had built. The messages were filled with veiled threats and ominous warnings, suggesting that someone knew something that could unravel our hard-won success. Sarah was the first to notice the pattern. She brought the messages to my attention, her face pale with concern. "Harry, these messages are troubling. They keep referring to a final act and hinting at something that could bring everything crashing down." I reviewed the messages carefully, trying to decipher their meaning. They seemed to be targeting both the restaurant and me personally, but their content was intentionally vague. The more I read, the more unsettled I became. It felt like someone was playing a dangerous game, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was about to happen. Determined to get to the bottom of this, I decided to take action. I reached out to Lucas Wright, who had been instrumental in managing previous crises. He agreed to help investigate the situation and offered to bring in a private investigator to look into the matter. While we waited for the investigation to yield results, I decided to keep the situation as low-key as possible. I didn't want to alarm the staff or guests, but I also needed to be prepared for any eventuality. One evening, as I was preparing for a dinner service, the unexpected happened. A group of journalists arrived at the restaurant unannounced. They were accompanied by a man who introduced himself as Jack Turner, a former associate of Michelle who claimed to have damaging information about her. Jack's arrival was a shock. He was eager to talk and claimed that he had evidence related to Michelle's past actions, which he believed was connected to the recent threats. His appearance and the nature of his claims left me unsettled and uncertain about his motives. I decided to hear him out in a private meeting. We sat in a quiet corner of the restaurant, away from the prying eyes of the guests. Jack produced a folder of documents and photos, claiming that they contained incriminating evidence about Michelle and her involvement in the negative reviews and threats. The documents were shocking. They included evidence of communication between Michelle and individuals who had been spreading false information about the restaurant. There were also records of financial transactions that suggested a connection to the negative campaigns. Jack explained that he had been approached by Michelle to help her cover up certain aspects of her past, and he had reluctantly agreed. However, he claimed that he had since had a change of heart and wanted to expose the truth. I was torn between anger and disbelief. The revelation was deeply unsettling, but it also made sense of the recent events and the threats we had received. It seemed that Michelle was involved in a desperate attempt to undermine the restaurant and tarnish our reputation. With the evidence in hand, I consulted with Lucas and the private investigator. We decided to confront Michelle with the information and offer her a chance to come clean before the situation escalated further. We arranged a meeting with Michelle, who arrived at the restaurant looking anxious and apprehensive. As we presented the evidence, she was visibly shaken. The confrontation was intense, and Michelle struggled to defend herself against the mounting evidence of her involvement. In the end, Michelle admitted to her role in the scheme. She explained that she had been desperate to exact revenge and had resorted to drastic measures to damage the restaurant's reputation. It was a sobering moment, and it was clear that her actions had been driven by a combination of personal vendetta and misguided attempts at vindication. With the truth revealed, I decided to make a public statement addressing the situation. I acknowledged the issues that had arisen and clarified the connection between Michelle's actions and the negative reviews. I also expressed gratitude for the support of our patrons and reassured them of our continued commitment to excellence. The fallout from the revelation was swift and intense. Michelle faced significant backlash, and her reputation was further damaged by the exposure. The negative reviews gradually faded away, replaced by renewed support for the restaurant and its team. As the dust settled, I felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. The final act of this tumultuous chapter had brought a sense of closure and resolution. The restaurant had endured another trial and emerged stronger, reaffirming its place in the community. Reflecting on the journey, I realized that the road had been filled with unexpected twists and challenges. Each obstacle had tested our resilience and determination, but it had also forged a stronger, more united team. With the final act behind us, I looked forward to the future with renewed optimism. The restaurant had proven its ability to overcome adversity and thrive, and I was excited to continue building on our success and exploring new opportunities. The journey had been arduous, but it had also been a testament to the power of perseverance, integrity, and the unwavering support of our loyal patrons and dedicated team. As we embraced the next chapter, I was confident that we were well prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and determination. With the tumultuous events of the past behind us, the restaurant began to settle into a new phase of stability and growth. The public's renewed support and the staff's unwavering commitment had breathed new life into our business. It was time to focus on moving forward and ensuring that the restaurant remained a beacon of excellence and innovation. The first step was to solidify our reputation and enhance our offerings. We held a series of strategic meetings to plan our next moves. The discussions centered around expanding our menu, introducing new events, and strengthening our community ties. We wanted to build on the momentum we had gained and ensure that the restaurant continued to evolve and thrive. One of the key initiatives we decided to undertake was the introduction of a new seasonal menu. The idea was to create dishes that reflected the changing seasons and showcased the best local ingredients. We wanted to offer our guests a dining experience that was fresh, exciting, and reflective of the local flavors. Our culinary team, led by Chef Laura, worked tirelessly to develop the new menu. We experimented with various ingredients and recipes, drawing inspiration from the latest food trends and our guests' feedback. The process was both challenging and rewarding, and we were excited to unveil the new menu to our patrons. In addition to the menu changes, we planned a series of special events to engage with the community and celebrate our success. We organized cooking classes, wine tastings, and themed dinners, each designed to offer a unique and memorable experience. These events not only attracted new guests but also allowed us to connect with our loyal patrons on a more personal level. To further strengthen our community ties, we partnered with local charities and organizations. We hosted fundraising dinners and donated a portion of our proceeds to support various causes. It was important to us to give back to the community that had supported us through the challenges. As the new seasonal menu and events rolled out, the response from our guests was overwhelmingly positive. The restaurant buzzed with excitement, and the feedback was glowing. Our efforts to innovate and engage with the community had paid off, and the restaurant continued to attract a steady stream of patrons. One evening, as I looked around the restaurant and observed the lively atmosphere, I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The challenges we had faced had tested our resolve, but they had also strengthened our bond as a team and reaffirmed our commitment to excellence. The journey had been fraught with obstacles, but it had also been filled with moments of triumph and growth. We had weathered storms, navigated crises, and emerged stronger and more resilient. The experience had taught us valuable lessons about perseverance, innovation, and the importance of community. As we moved forward, I was filled with optimism about the future. The restaurant was not only surviving but thriving, and we were well prepared to embrace new opportunities and continue our journey of success. Each day brought new challenges and possibilities, and I was excited to see where the future would take us. The final chapter of this tumultuous period had closed, but the story of the restaurant was far from over. With a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to excellence, we were ready to write the next chapter of our journey, one marked by continued growth, innovation, and the joy of bringing people together through exceptional food and experiences. As I walked through the bustling restaurant, surrounded by the smiles of satisfied guests and the energy of a dedicated team, I knew that we had achieved something truly special. The restaurant had become a symbol of resilience and success, and I was grateful for the opportunity to continue building on that legacy. The future was bright, and with the support of our loyal patrons, dedicated staff, and the strength of our community, I was confident that the restaurant would continue to thrive and inspire for many years to come. The journey was ongoing, and I was excited to see what new adventures awaited us as we continued to pursue our passion and embrace the possibilities of the future. With the restaurant back on solid footing and flourishing, it was clear that the next step was to explore new horizons and expand our influence beyond our local community. The success we had achieved was a testament to our hard work and resilience. And it was time to capitalize on that momentum. The first order of business was to explore opportunities for expansion. The idea of opening additional locations had been on our minds for a while, and with the restaurant's strong reputation and positive momentum, it seemed like the right time to take the leap. We began scouting potential locations and evaluating the feasibility of new ventures. Lucas Wright, who had been a valuable ally throughout our journey, offered to assist with market research and business planning for the expansion. His expertise and connections in the industry proved invaluable as we navigated the complexities of opening new locations. We conducted thorough market research to identify promising areas for expansion. We looked at various cities and neighborhoods, assessing factors such as demographics, competition, and local food trends. It was a meticulous process, but we wanted to ensure that our new locations would be successful and aligned with our brand's values. As we finalized our expansion plans, we also focused on enhancing our existing operations. We implemented new systems and technologies to streamline processes and improve efficiency. From updating our reservation system to investing in advanced kitchen equipment, we were committed to maintaining the high standards that had become synonymous with our restaurant. One of the exciting aspects of the expansion was the opportunity to introduce new concepts and ideas. We decided to experiment with different themes and cuisines at our new locations, while still staying true to the core values and quality that defined our brand. Each new restaurant would have its own unique identity, reflecting the local culture and culinary preferences. As we prepared to launch our new locations, we organized a series of grand opening events to generate buzz and attract attention. We invited local media, influencers, and community leaders to join us in celebrating the milestones. The events were a huge success, generating positive coverage and excitement about our new ventures. The first new location opened in a vibrant neighborhood known for its culinary scene. The grand opening was met with enthusiastic support from the local community, and the restaurant quickly became a popular destination. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and the new location was off to a strong start. As the new locations continued to open and gain traction, I took a moment to reflect on the journey we had undertaken. The challenges we had faced and overcome had been significant, but they had also paved the way for new opportunities and growth. The restaurant's success was a testament to the dedication and hard work of the entire team. The expansion marked a new chapter in the restaurant's story. It was a chance to build on our achievements and explore new possibilities. The future was filled with promise, and I was excited to see where the journey would lead. The new horizons brought with them fresh challenges and opportunities, and we embraced them with enthusiasm and determination. Each new location added to the restaurant's legacy, contributing to our ongoing story of success and innovation. As I looked around the bustling new locations and observed the joy and satisfaction of our guests, I felt a deep sense of pride. The restaurant had grown from a single establishment into a thriving brand with a presence in multiple communities. It was a remarkable achievement, and I was grateful for the support and dedication of everyone who had been part of the journey. The next chapter of the restaurant's story was just beginning, and with each new venture, we continued to write a story of resilience, innovation, and success. The journey had been extraordinary, and I was eager to embrace the future and see where the adventure would take us next. With the support of our loyal patrons, dedicated staff, and the strength of our community, I was confident that the restaurant would continue to thrive and inspire. The future was bright, and the possibilities were endless. As we ventured into new horizons, we remained committed to our core values and the pursuit of excellence, knowing that the best was yet to come. Just when it seemed like everything was settling into a successful routine with our expansion efforts, a new and unexpected challenge emerged. It began subtly but quickly grew into a situation that demanded immediate attention and careful handling. It all started with a routine check of our new restaurant locations. I had been traveling between sites to oversee operations and ensure everything was running smoothly. During one of my visits, I noticed that one of the locations seemed to be experiencing unusual issues with its inventory and staffing. Upon closer inspection, I found that the problems were more severe than initially anticipated. There were discrepancies in inventory records, unexplained shortages, and some staff members were reporting inconsistencies in their schedules and pay. It was clear that something was amiss, but I needed to gather more information before drawing any conclusions. I decided to launch a thorough internal investigation to get to the bottom of the issues. We brought in an external auditor to review our records and processes. The auditor's findings were alarming. There were signs of financial mismanagement and suspicious activities that pointed to potential embezzlement. The revelation was a shock. It seemed that someone within our organization had been exploiting the situation for personal gain. The auditor identified a pattern of fraudulent transactions and unauthorized adjustments to inventory records. The scale of the misconduct was significant and needed to be addressed promptly. I convened a meeting with the senior management team to discuss the findings. The atmosphere was tense as we reviewed the auditor's report and strategized our response. It was crucial to handle the situation with care to prevent further damage and maintain the integrity of our brand. We decided to conduct a more detailed investigation to identify the individuals responsible for the fraud. We implemented additional security measures and closely monitored all financial activities. It was essential to get to the bottom of the issue and take appropriate action to protect the restaurant's reputation and financial stability. During the investigation, we discovered that the culprit was a trusted employee who had been with us since the early days of our expansion. The individual had used their position to orchestrate the embezzlement scheme, exploiting their access to sensitive information and financial resources. The discovery was deeply disappointing. The employee had been a valuable member of the team, and their betrayal was a blow to our trust and morale. We took immediate action to address the situation. The employee was terminated, and legal proceedings were initiated to recover the stolen funds and hold them accountable for their actions. In the aftermath of the revelation, we focused on rebuilding trust and reinforcing our commitment to transparency and integrity. We communicated openly with our staff and patrons about the situation, emphasizing the steps we were taking to prevent similar issues in the future. We implemented enhanced financial controls, regular audits, and stricter oversight to safeguard against future misconduct. Our team rallied together to support one another and ensure that the restaurant continued to operate smoothly despite the setback. The experience was a stark reminder of the challenges that come with growth and expansion. It tested our resilience and forced us to confront difficult truths. However, it also reinforced the importance of vigilance, integrity, and the strength of our team. As I reflected on the ordeal, I realized that the restaurant's journey had been marked by both triumphs and trials. Each challenge had been an opportunity to learn and grow, and the setbacks had only strengthened our resolve to succeed. With the issues addressed and the lessons learned, we were ready to move forward with renewed determination. The restaurant continued to thrive, and the expansion efforts remained on track. The future was bright, and we were prepared to face any new challenges that came our way. The unforeseen revelation had been a pivotal moment in the restaurant's story. It had tested our commitment to excellence and our ability to navigate adversity. As we embraced the next chapter, we remained dedicated to our core values and focused on continuing our journey of success and growth. The challenges we faced had only made us stronger, and with the support of our loyal patrons, dedicated staff, and the resilience of our team, we were confident that we could overcome any obstacle and continue to write a story of achievement and innovation.